One, I think the biggest hurdle is the overwhelm and thinking that AI is going to take over. I using it as a tool, like I use it a lot for content help so that you don't get left behind and that gap grows. It's all about the pace of life and nobody is slowing down.
Hello, everyone. Today, my guest is Elise from Pony Friday. Elise, thank you for your time. And please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your company.
I am so excited to be here, Carl. Thanks for having me. Pony Friday is all about behaving boldly with your brand and evolving who you are with your brand and making your life the best possible. And a lot of that has been done through actually me helping businesses, membership organizations grow their brand, and smaller entrepreneurs. And I've also been working with creative entrepreneurs through my community, Kiss My Pony, to help people who are at a kind of smaller level and not less important, because all business problems are personal problems in disguise.
So listen, tell the audience more about, the word pony, because I heard Pony Friday, I heard Kiss My Pony. So where did this come from?
Ah,
Definitely catchy, I will say.
so the very, very original Pony Friday came from the summer I quit my job in advertising. I actually had a horse, and it was living at a friend's acreage, and that friend had every Friday off. They were in a cushy oil and gas job, and in the summer they got every Friday off. So I had taken every Friday off from my ad agency job so that we could ride our horses together on Friday. And this friend is in accounting. She's a bit serious, and so to her annoyance, I would call it Pony Friday. So that summer I was running out of Fridays and going back into full work weeks, and I already used up all my vacation days for these Fridays, and decided that looked a little bleak and not really the future that I wanted to live. And so I quit and started a company. And my friend said, "Well, what are you calling your company?" And I giggled and said Pony Friday. And I feel like it was a little bit of a stance I was taking on
Hmm.
who I wanted to be in the world of not such a reined in version of a human. So the name leads the path to all the decisions that I make. Well, does that feel Pony Friday?
I like it. I like it. So pretty much it's a lifestyle that you envision and you name your company after that lifestyle. So
Absolutely. Like
this
aspirational.
I love it. I love it. So pretty much every Friday was Pony Friday.
Every Friday was Pony Friday, but why
And
couldn't every day have a Pony Friday vibe?
I like it. So I mean, so you've been doing this since 2012 from what I remember.
Yes.
And you created Pony Friday since 2012 and you guys are clearly still writing. So tell us more about that journey. And also you mentioned earlier that you quit your advertising job. So what made you quit? And then how has Pony Friday been treating you since?
Yeah, so not riding with that friend, and sadly that horse has since passed away. I
Oh,
am
I'm sorry.
currently without a living, breathing, in real life horse, but I have Pony, so he is, his life is potentially never ending, so that's nice.
I like it.
Yeah, the traumas of life, nobody
I hear
gets
you.
gets
I
away with.
hear you.
Um, Not having. As far as kind of the last 12 years, or actually 25, I just turned 13. I'm doing
13.
bad math. Really, it's about just showing up and making the decisions of how I want to be in my future and who I want to evolve into, right? Like things have to change. And the things that we're interested in as humans, especially if we like to learn, those things change. And that's literally why I left advertising, is I felt like I was in a box. And as creatives, it's not a great place to be in a box, because you're working on a brief for a client to solve a
Hmm.
issue. So you're coming up with a creative solution for their problem. Great. But as to exist permanently within a really tight structure can feel hard. And if you look at the people in roles above you, in the industry or in the place that you work, and you think, well, I don't really want their job, I don't really want their lifestyle, or I don't want
Hmm.
to be like them, you really have to exit.
So what do you mean by, tight structure? Is it like, do you feel like you didn't have the freedom to do whatever it is that you wanted from a creative standpoint, or what is it?
Yeah. So when you're working in ad agencies, you're often working on the same clients over and
Hmm.
over, right? So you don't have as much say in who you're working on because that agency will have
Gotcha.
clients. It's actually a fairly tight knit industry, so you get to know everybody. People change jobs all of a sudden. It's a
Hmm.
little bit like high school, right? Everybody knows everyone. You're working on the
Hmm.
similar accounts, and I mean that is also a testament of how well you can flex your creative muscles to say, okay, how long have you worked on this account? Can you still bring fresh ideas to it? But
Hmm.
early in my career, I started as an art director, and then I transitioned to a copywriter so that I could develop both sides of that coin, and did stints as a creative director for other people. But there's hierarchies, right? So if you're in
Gotcha.
a bigger agency system, you have a hierarchy and a chain of command, and sometimes ideas are suppressed because they're not right for the client and you miss the
Yep.
mark. Sometimes they're suppressed because that your agency doesn't want that, right, to be part
Yep.
of their
Yep. Yep.
brand of what they
Hmm.
did, or you have a boss or your partner that you're working with is you're fighting that. And I feel like I just wanted to bust the top off the box and pop out like a jack in the box and see what else I could do. And
I like it. I like it.
also, here's the other thing that you don't usually get as a creative: experience building a brand or experience working on your own brand. Like, who would you be? What would you bring to the world if
Hmm.
you had that task? Often we're working on established brands because they have the budget for
Gotcha.
advertising. So
Gotcha.
you're
Gotcha.
working on something. So it's different to say, okay, we've got this shopping center, and I mean back when I was working on stuff, shopping centers were still drawing a lot more
Hmm.
people. They're not. They're having different problems now. When I was working on it, I remember it being a parking campaign. Like there just wasn't enough room in the parking lot for all of these people.
Hmm.
So I mean, problems evolve, and that's great. But we evolve too. And to say, okay, well, you're just designed to be a tool in this system,
Hmm.
but I also don't know what it's like to build a brand, right? I
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
I couldn't bring that. And even the people that I worked with, the marketing directors at those big organizations, they don't know what it's like to build it from the bottom.
Gotcha.
And so they're saying, okay, well, can we increase our, say, shoppers by 10%? Can we
Hmm.
increase our membership base by 2%? Oh, we can't do 3% because we're actually worried we cannot service 3% in growth. You'd be
Mm.
surprised how many
Interesting.
campaigns die because the infrastructure for the idea that the campaign would draw in isn't there. So we
Wow.
love this idea so much, but we're concerned it will cause issues because it will do too well.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that. Interesting, interesting perspective. So let me ask you then. So since then, since leaving
Yeah.
the corporate advertising world, you created Pony Friday. Were you able, did you have the opportunity to grow a brand, like to build a brand from the ground up?
Well, that's what Pony Friday is. And the other thing for me that's important about Pony Friday is actually having a brand where you're building things beyond just serving other brands. So,
Hmm.
because my experience was helping other brands be built up and grow, that's
Hmm.
where I make most of my income. But
Hmm.
while I was doing that, I'm like, oh, it'd be fun if I had a merch line. Oh, it would be fun if I did some pop up shops. It would be fun if I
Nice.
had this experience, and hiring people to help me with different things. That's a learning curve in itself, right? Being the
Hmm.
person to hire for different skill sets, managing people in a different facet than when you're in a larger organization like an ad agency, you're a
Hmm.
specialist. When you're running your own bootstrap company, you have to be both a specialist and a generalist, but you have to be
Generalist,
a
yeah.
specialist at so many different things, or you have to get to the point where you can hire some of those skill
Yeah.
sets. But then it evolves and you need different skill sets, and you yourself realize that you're lacking in skill sets. So, like, I took training in sales through the pandemic because that was my weakest skill set. Of just, okay, so what do you need to learn? And it's, nobody loves learning, especially when you're an expert, because you have to go back down
Yeah.
to the start place. And you're also, you could be in programs with people who are experts in other fields. And the program that I was in for sales, I was in with people who'd been in sales for 18 years. And
Wow.
the
Okay.
thing that's great about that is they have all this experience and they bring that perspective. And
Uh-huh.
I'm a newbie learning today, right? Whereas they started their learning 18 years ago, and that it was a totally different world.
So what's the number one lesson, or you can give me the top three as well if you prefer, that you learned from that sales course about like pretty much, I assume it was to be able to get more clients, right?
Uh, sure. Okay. So that's one thing that everybody thinks that's important about sales is more clients. I think it's the right clients. I think it's
Ah, look at that.
alignment
Hmm.
and making sure that you're having the right conversations and asking the right questions and being able to find matches. Because there's something I learned. I was dabbling in multi-level marketing, and somebody said you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. And that's 100% true. Like, if somebody is not willing to open up to you, it's either the wrong person or the wrong time.
Hmm.
And on that note, at the wrong time, this is my favorite thing I learned about sales
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
is the longer you talk to someone, the more money you're likely to get out of that relationship. So the longer you're
Mm.
willing to stay in those initial conversations to build the relationship before ever making a sale, before even having a proposal conversation, and just continually asking questions, digging deeper, building that relationship. And if they're eager to get a proposal, then you can just say things like, well, we're not there yet. That's not how I work. Like, all of these things to actually make sure that you're nurturing a relationship that then you can go places that other people can't, because
I like
you are
that.
not a commodity. All of a
Hmm.
sudden you're in this relationship. And I love that too, because you have no idea how long you need to stay in that initial nurturing phase. It is way longer than people think. It is
Of
like
course.
I've had a deal that I closed that took me 18 months,
Wow.
and many conversations, many follow-ups, and you have to treat them like they're going to become your friend.
Yeah.
And if you are matching them with their energy and it feels good for you and it feels good for them, then you will naturally come to a place where you're happy to work together. It feels normal. And then your relationship from that point is really healthy. So when you encounter roadblocks,
Hmm.
you're not having stressful conflict. You're just saying, like, talking to your best friend, if something went wrong, you use that tone and you say, hey, like, we need to talk about this. And then everybody's happy to talk about it because you put in the work initially. And honestly, that's something that I just didn't comprehend before
Mm.
taking sales training.
And look at that. Now you're ready to give a lesson. You just give a lesson to our listeners. I love it. I love it. I'm definitely gonna keep that in mind for my future endeavors. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So
like, just in the simplest terms, you cannot be hungrier than they are. You cannot want it more than they do.
smart. I like it. I like it. You cannot want it more than they do. You cannot be hungrier
Yeah,
than they are. I
think
like it.
about it. It's like dating. It's like
Hmm.
dating. It's the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
thing,
yeah. You're
right?
right. You're right. So for our listeners, if you're a good dater, you should be able to get more
I don't
business.
know. I don't know if that's true, because if you're a good dater, it means you're not in a relationship, and this is all about getting into relationships. So that might not be right.
Touche, touche. So scratch that comment then. Um, So earlier, I want to touch back on something you mentioned earlier. You said that, you realized that you were lacking on some skill sets. That's
Yeah.
why, for example, you were like, you know what, let me go learn how to sell. But now, obviously, in this podcast, we want to talk about AI. And AI
Yes.
is becoming a big player, an important player in the lives of CEOs,
Sure.
co-founders, or people like like yourself, who are pretty much like lean teams who want to get more done. So tell
Sure.
me more about like how you were able to. Now, first of all, let's start with like um, what's the biggest challenge for you in your industry, and do you think that there's a way that AI already did help you or could help you?
Uh, One, I think the biggest hurdle is the overwhelm and thinking that AI is going to take over. I think
Hmm.
we get in this headspace, and I'm experiencing that. I've experienced it a lot of just, it's almost like when you feel like someone new is coming in to take your job, of just like, ooh, this new hot talent, and they're coming in, and everyone's excited about them. So they're dismissing what you bring to the table. And it can be you dismissing your own contribution. So I had
Hmm.
this conversation with one of my teammates, and I said, repeat after me. I am smarter than AI. And they were like, oh, I'm smarter than AI. And I said, no, okay, say it again like you mean it. Of this, I am smarter than AI. And it really is, if you go to the library, you're pulling all the information and it's
Hmm.
cumbersome. With
Hmm.
AI, it's immediately pulling all the information, but it is not independent thinking, right? So we're putting in the inputs and we're able to do this super, super fast, but the
Hmm.
accuracy for your individual need, I feel like people are not driving the car. Like if AI is in the car with you, you're like, oh, AI can drive. And to a certain extent, yes. So if this is AI is programmed for known roads, good. But most of the creative industry is all off road, right? So
Yep,
you
yep.
have to be there. And so can you use it as a tool? Yes. Am I using it as a tool? Yes. But am I thinking of it as a junior team member? Absolutely. So I am making
Gotcha.
sure that I am looking at it, I am correcting it, I am heavy hand holding.
Hmm.
And with a lot of the digital outputs like image and video, it's just not at the level that's required for the league that I'm playing at.
Hmm.
So if you're using Canva all the time, that you might find a lot more benefit for AI. If you're in Adobe Creative Suite and you're leveraging those tools, there are some AI application kind of tweaks in that are getting better, and people are able
Hmm.
to leverage them now more than ever. But it's still dependent on what you require. And if you're doing a lot of stuff that's outside the box, it's still not there yet. And I'm
Hmm.
also correcting it. Like I use it a lot for content help,
Hmm.
or like I need to start a rough draft, and
Hmm.
then back and forth. Like the prompts that I'm using are paragraphs long, and if I'm writing a ton or if I'm reusing that prompt, it makes sense. Or if I'm tired and I can't think on my
Hmm.
own, which we sometimes are burnt out and
Hmm.
fried and we can't do it. But if you're writing, I heard this somewhere, if you're already writing a paragraph to tell someone else to do something to write you a paragraph, should you have
Hmm.
just written the first paragraph yourself?
Yeah, yeah. So listen, you said something that resonated with me because I also heard it from a couple other interviewees that I've had, and it was about the junior, that comparing AI to a junior
Yeah.
designer, junior creator. So, what would you, for those who are more junior in their journey, what would you recommend they do then in order to be able to kind of like challenge AI and like keep their spots?
Well, I mean, I don't mean it's replacing
Hmm.
someone. I mean that you have to think of it as a
Gotcha.
junior individual. So I think if you're at a junior level, you have the opportunity to integrate this tool early into your career and you're not forcing it as part of the, oh, this is new,
Mm-hmm.
I have to learn this. It's more integrated into your initial thinking. But I do feel like even a junior can say, I'm smarter than AI, I'm more talented than AI, because I can pull ideas together that AI
Mm-hmm.
can't. AI can only pull things together that have already been pulled together, right? It's
Yep,
merging
yep.
things. Actually, sometimes when I'm using an AI writing tool, if a sentence is particularly good,
Mm-hmm.
I will go and search on the internet to find where it came from, because
Mm.
we're dealing with tons of plagiarism issues with AI. And if I can find the source, I'm like, this is too good. AI didn't come up with this. So I'll go and find it because I'll want to read more
Mm-hmm.
about it.
Smart.
But we do have to be careful, and a lot of times we're all just, there's so many of us, it's kind of like when there was pirated music all
Yeah.
over the internet. We haven't got to the place where it's regulated. I actually use this example a lot. um, was it cigarettes when they became e-cigarettes and people were
Mm-hmm.
was it vaping, what's it called
Vaping. Yep.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So I remember when
I,
that
I can
happened.
tell. I can tell that you're an avid vapor.
I'm not. No, but here's the thing. So I remember when I'm old enough to remember when smoking was taken out of restaurants. I'm old enough to have been at a desk across from my creative partner when she was vaping in the office. There was no regulations around it. Nobody really understood that it was also bad and there was toxicity coming off there. So this is similar. There are some regulations that need to come into play that just are not there yet. So we have to use it with our heads on straight.
No, makes total sense. I mean, listen, a lot. I think that's the perfect analogy. We don't know what we don't know until we find out. So, and I think to be frank with you, also, I think AI is at its infancy stage. I think every
Yeah.
day it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's growing, but we're still it's a new thing. It's new for most. Like I think people have been speaking to in the digital space, like you and others. You guys have a better understanding of it, but there are a lot of people out there who don't even use it at all. Um,
Right. And that I would think is a mistake, because you're missing the opportunity to get comfortable with a tool while it's in its infancy so
yep,
that you don't get left behind and that gap grows, right? It's sort of like
100%.
learning operating systems on your mobile phone, on your computer, all of it. If you don't start, then you are not in consistent learning. And as soon as we stop learning, it's harder to get in motion again. It's sort of like that, whose law is that? An object in motion stays in motion.
Yep, yep. So I mean, what do you see? As we mentioned, it's in its infancy stages. So what do you see for the next 5 years? Like, where do you think it will be, and like, how will it impact your industry?
Honestly, I feel like everything just has moved faster and faster. So when I first started in advertising, I remember working on a giant billboard file on my
Hmm.
computer, and it was taking a half hour to save the file, and I would have to
Oh
go do
wow.
something else, right? And you have to save frequently because you don't want to lose the work, which took you forever. It just like all of these things. So we're just increasing the speed. And if
Hmm.
we think about the problems that we're having, it's all about attention problems. It's all about the
Mm.
pace of life. And nobody is slowing down and going outside for a walk and trying to balance it. And what we're seeing is the world scrambling to figure out what's important and what's not. And we're going to be challenged further to say what's important and what's not. Okay, so are blogs important now or not? It's hard to say. Is it going to be an important thing for SEO? Is
Hmm.
SEO even going to matter in the future? If we have all of this AI created content that people aren't reading, they're maybe using AI to skim. And so we're not getting depth. So I think as a, humans across the world are going to be craving more and more depth. We're already seeing that, the lack of human connection, the lack of meaningful interactions. We have a loneliness epidemic, like all of this. So, which is really why I created Kiss My Pony, my community, because we're meeting in a digital space, but we're meeting over Zoom and we're having conversations about personal growth and things that are meaningful, and creating a space for those conversations that I didn't have that space. I didn't have a space to have those conversations with the people close to me. A lot of people are emotionally turned off. They're numb. They don't want to have complicated conversations because their life is quote unquote working. And it's not. We're just kind of all becoming what the zombie apocalypse as we go through life. We don't have time to see our friends because our schedules don't align. It's too complicated. They live on the other side of the city, or like you're not even that far from people, but you cannot. It's just too much.
Hmm. So you believe that pretty much AI and the, let's say in 5 years or so, near future, let's say, will help you have a better work-life balance per se.
I think it has the potential to do that. I
Okay.
think it's really going to catch some of us off guard and make it more complex. Just think about how demanding workplaces are now, because you can have your email bing, bing,
Mm.
bing, people texting at outside of work hours, and there's this expectation that we just answer, and we all feel the pressure to do it now because we
Hmm.
also want things now. So absolutely. Just like all of these crazy shipping delivery companies, just being able to drop ship everything at your door whenever possible. It's
Hmm.
hard to wait. If you order something from a boutique shop that it takes a week, you're like, oh my gosh, it took forever. And it didn't. Our expectations are just crazy. So that's going to be the struggle, to say, as
Yeah.
life's able to speed up, can humans leverage it to slow down to the pace that humans are best suited for?
I love it. I love it. I think this is your next company, you know? It's going to be more time to kiss my pony. That's what it is. No, that's
Exactly.
but listen, I think you had a lot of good points there. And this is the first time, somebody has shared this perspective, pretty much like, leveraging AI to have let's potentially have a much better work-life balance because to your point,
Yeah.
things are fast these days and we want it fast. We get used to it. When it's like a week delivery, it's a problem. We need 2 days. We need that one day, same day even delivery.
Yeah.
So now a very interesting point. I mean, so that being said, like what's next for Pony Friday and Kiss My Pony?
Probably figuring out ways to slow down. And it's funny because back when I started Pony Friday, I was all about taking Fridays off. So I didn't work
Hmm.
Fridays because it was Pony Friday and I'm going to have this great
Hmm.
vibe. And then, of course, things get busy and it's hard to juggle. Everyone knows the avalanche kind of flows into all days. Suddenly, as an entrepreneur, you're like, this has to happen and I'm behind and I need like an extra month to catch up. But I've just made the Kiss My Pony event calendar for 2026, and we're only doing stuff on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's what's booked in the calendar, so that we have the intention of not booking things for me with my clients through Pony Friday on
Hmm.
Fridays, and or showing up for anybody on the weekend. Like, I am not in a hospital performing life-saving surgeries. I am not an on-call doctor who needs to show up at any given minute. So why am I?
I love it. I love it. I mean, listen, this is exciting. I'm really looking forward to catching up with you in like, 2, 3 years and seeing like how things are evolving. I want you to keep having, I mean, 2026, that's already set, but maybe 2027 we'll have Mondays and Fridays off, you know?
Yeah. Maybe you're just not working at all. Well, somebody was talking about the 4-day work week and saying, well, how many people are working for you to enable that scenario?
Mm.
Like, there's so many versions of stories that aren't told. And I mean, your story is fascinating because you're switching industries entirely and you're leveraging AI to save time. So based on this conversation chain, how is that benefiting you right now?
Look at that, a question for the interviewer. No, so I mean, listen, for me, since a year and a half ago, I started playing around with AI, and to me, I had very similar views as you. It's like, okay, how do I leverage it to get my tasks done quickly? And now, whenever there is an issue that comes up or a task that has to be done, the first thing I think of is how do I make this automated? How do I have AI take care of it for me?
Yeah.
So I think to your point, this is the future. How do we keep getting better at leveraging AI to give us our lives back? Because for me, one of the most important thing in my life is spending time with my family. Especially I have a 1 year old, and it's everything. Hearing him call me, say my name, just like it just lights me up inside. So being able to do this, spend more time with him, to me, that's everything.
Okay, I have one more question for you. Fast forward to
Hmm.
your little one working in an industry in 20, 25 years. How do you think that AI is going to change their trajectory?
That's the $1 million question. Because I think even with the dot-com bubble, that changed a lot of things with emails in the workplace, etc. Well, I think AI, the change is going to be even more drastic. So, to be honest with you, like, I have no clue. I have no clue. I think it will. If there's so much information online about what it could be,
Yeah.
good and bad. So I tend to be more on the optimistic side. So all I can think of is like, good things. How will he be able to leverage it to be,
Sure.
a better version of himself? So this is where my head typically goes.
There's a kind of thread of conversations that's showing up more in my life. I think I'm more in tune to it. Interviews with top people and also books that I'm reading about forget what's going to change and ask yourself what is going to stay the same no matter what. And for part of the reason I created Pony Friday is because I'm always going to want to evolve and I need room to do it. And part of the reason I created Kiss My Pony is because humans are always going to want connections. Creatives are always going to need a space to connect and leverage each other's thoughts. And I'm always going to want that personal growth space. So when I think about what I want to do for Pony Friday and probably what you want for your family is, connection and how can we make sure that we're using these tools appropriately.
Listen, this was so awesome. So many pros from you, Elite. I think this wraps it up for us. Um, Listen, it was amazing. It was so much fun talking to you. Pony Friday, Kiss My Pony. I mean, I wish you the very best, and we will certainly be in touch in the near future. I want to keep up with Pony Friday.
Amazing. Thanks for having me, Carl.
Thank you.